How was it editing 2 videos this morning?
The editing is really fast if you guys are on point. I'll edit something and then you retake it. And I have no idea that's about to come. So I spend like 5 minutes cleaning something up and then you do a reshoot. I don't know if it happened today, but it happens every now and then.
I thought it was pretty clean, the video I made.
Yeah. It's all good. I like to get more faces involved. Like I'm glad more people are helping. I'm doing the same, if not more work, but it shows a real community approach. It's not. It don't need to be about me, right? Just kidding. It's all about me.
Sort through this Jimmy Butler mess now.
Yeah. Maybe we save that game for the last.
I just get that out of the way.
I mean, there's no new props up, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That should allow them to get a bit more time to repost them.
Yeah.
Vegas adjusted the line.
I doubt they're going to be 7-point favorites.
Let's see. They are now 4.
Really? Oh my God. No Larry, no Butler. F you, Trey, is basically the message I'm getting.
Yeah.
At least we get baseball tonight. A real man's sport, you know.
Hey, we get the Battle of the Bay Bridge tonight.
Will you be there?
I won't be there, but this could be the last year of it.
No, I meant you'll be at the bridge.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean,
Battling.
John Morant? It is over.
Gets hooked by .2 like the Raptors last night.
Bro, don't tell me about. Dude, I had not the worst, but a hook on baseball where CB Buckner was behind the dish in the Phillies game. And poor Phillies, they had Angel Hernandez on Sunday night. That made the news. And CB Buckner's another like delusional old man behind the plate. And he was just flipping coins on balls and strikes, right? And then I had action on Gibson to go 6 innings. He went 5 2/3 because Buckner called a strike, a ball. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then literally the inning prior, he called a super inside pitch, a ball. But anyway, it's one thing to get hooked on some nonsense, but man, we're getting hooked on human judgment. Oh, that was a different sting, bro. That was a different sting. What can you do? What can you do? You know what you can do? Keep your head down and keep gambling, baby. Because we ain't quitters.
Burning that paper. Let's go.
I saw a meme the other day. I kept it on my phone somewhere. It was like I'm finally quit gambling, and it's a boxer, and then the second scene is the boxer sitting down with his face beat up. It's a dang. Them parlay got hands though, or just like that's what we doing out here. We're making these player prop parlays, but we out here, man. It's a lot of fun. It's fun when you win. Shout out to the live chat. Shout out to Mia Moore. Quinn in the chat said they waited a while to take the Heat props down. Yeah, hopefully you guys got some cards in. What up, Jeff? What up, Steve? Leibowitz, Chris Smith in the chat. Clarkson again last night. Yeah, Clarkson did. Did what he expected. The Mavs, though. Lister, what up, Listerd? What up, MV? Anthony Edwards, Taco incoming. What up, Kiefer? What up, Parker? They should put out another taco. They might. I don't know how they're gonna react to it. I'm sure they'll make a statement soon. What up, Sheriff Gun Getcha? It's under season, fellas. Oh man, been feeling like the edge is with mid-tier bench player props. Yeah, we've been saying that. That's what you have to target. They're always going to price the Giannis's and the Durant's and the Jokic's sky high. That's what the casual players are looking forward to go grab. But it's on, like yesterday, I had action on Gorgeous Yang under half an assist. And people laughed at me, but it was the move, right? It hit. It's like it's some of those tertiary supplementary props that are really a little bit softer, and even then the books don't, like, no one's that prop's never gonna get like weighted to where the books have to adjust just to kind of offset. And there's gonna be times where people are slamming overs on PrizePicks, and PrizePicks has to raise the projection and whatnot. But how'd you like last night, Josh? It was Another slate. We're done with the Nets for the rest of the year. Ben Simmons did not become a factor. Kevin Durant did all he could. I did my best. But Boston now, I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I want to see them versus a healthy Bucks, and we'll see if a healthy Bucks is even possible by the time they get there. But that's the kind of the date with destiny that I'm looking for. But what did you think about last night's NBA product?
Oh man, I mean, would have crushed if the Raptors didn't decide to finish right at all the lines. I think Siakam missed by 0.5 on his fantasy. Gary Trent missed by like 0.3. OG missed by like a bucket for his real points. So yeah, it was the day of hooks for the Raptors if you went heavy on them.
I sent for the man. Let me open up the PrizePicks Discord and see if there's any. By the way, hey, if you guys are just tuning in, maybe you ain't been keeping attention on your phone. Jimmy Butler ruled out. Ironic for PrizePicks, because Jimmy Butler was actually the first taco on the slate, and it looks like they're gonna roll out a replacement taco for Anthony Edwards, Josh. And so if you guys are out there, you're in the PrizePicks Discord, you can get your voting in. Right now it looks like Points is the runaway winner. So more than likely, the new taco is going to be Anthony Edwards, 19.5 points, which is a 4-point discount to the initial line of 23.5. What do you think about that, Josh?
I like it. Are we going to start with that game? Because I have some game theory.
Yeah, I was gonna say we skip the Heat game for now. We wait for those props to pop up, and then we'll circle back, and hopefully by the time that we are done with the other two games, we can have some lines to talk about for Miami. I did a light minutes and projection sweep in the spreadsheet, but even then I might have to dial or tweak it up a little bit more as we go forward. I also want to mention, I know PrizePicks does the Taco Tuesday. Underdog has a special prop today at Tyler Hero half an assist, and that looks even better now, right?
Yeah.
with Jimmy down. So
Yeah.
if you're not on Underdog and you also want to take advantage of that little free prop, here I'll put a link in the chat here. Click that link, sign up using my code. You'll get double your first deposit up to $100. And if you're in the free Discord, the free Gundecker Gaming Discord, link to that's in the description below. After you sign up using my code, take a screenshot, message either me or Danielle, and we'll get you hooked up with a Underdog roll. So you'll get a fun little color next to your name, and it will be just something cool to have on. So Tyler Hero free line over there on PrizePicks. We actually are on Underdog, so go check that out. Tacos are also $50 today. Wow, that's nice. So Anthony Edwards, $50 point prop coming to you. And then they dropped another one, right? It was what was the other one? It was from Twitter. I want to say it was like I'll pull it up 1 second. Vince, they took down the Heroes. They took the Hero special prop down. Did they just take that down? Let me refresh. Oh, we're going through it, ain't we? Maybe they're. I still see it. and I just refreshed. I was gonna say maybe they took it, maybe they had to take Miami off the board. You know what I mean in the coding, and it took Hero off. But I just refreshed and it's still there, Vince. So it might have just been one of those things where they tried to take the heat off the board to adjust. But let me see the other PrizePicks taco from Twitter that's coming our way is gonna be. Oh, it's still voting. Brandon Ingram stat vote. So let me ask you, Josh, if you want a discount on Brandon Ingram tonight, would you rather it be his PRA dropping 5 points from 38.5 to 33.5? I feel like you're going to say that. His points from 26.5 to 22.5, rebounds from 6 to 4.5, assists from 5 to 4. I feel like it's easily the PRA, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. You all right? You sound. That was like the saddest agreement.
Well, I don't know what to do with Ingram. We'll wait till we get to that game.
And that's why I think PRA is like the blanket, right?
Yeah.
But knowing how dumb the public is, guess
They're gonna
what?
go points.
They're going points. They are
Let's
going.
go.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on, guys. 63% on Brandon Ingram points right now. We'll see if that holds up. If you guys are on Twitter, we're going to go fight the good fight. Vote for PRA. This is why the books always win, Josh.
Yeah.
This is why the books always win. All right, let's
Yeah.
skip. We're going to skip the Miami game for now. And we're going to talk about the other two games and talk about some of the props around on the board. T-Wolves at the Grizzlies. We got 231.5 total, 6-point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. We got a pretty decent expectation on what the starting lineup should be. It looks like it's a given now that Adams is going to be out of this mix. At least for this series, I think he'll come back in a more traditional matchup. But this has worked so far in terms of kind of stifling Cat a little bit, and we've seen Jaren Jackson or Kyle Anderson or somebody like that in the front court rotation. What did you think of the T-Wolves props? And we'll start with them. By the way, the Edwards prop is on the board, and it's all messed up. They have him at 23.5 points twice. Maybe you can get away with betting more on this one. I don't know. You see this? There's like a taco, and then there's a point.
Yeah, and it says like versus 5B1C 3F0A.
Yeah, please
Whatever
don't.
code they use.
Stop. I thought you were about to read the whole thing out. Like, okay, this bit's on too long. All right, well, starting with the T-Wolves side of this game.
Yeah.
So we can get Edwards at 23.5 points. We can get him at 4 assists, 4.5 rebounds. We can also get Cat at 42 fantasy points, 23.5 points. It looked like he started finding out or adjusting to the adjustments, as we like to say. In that last game, finally had a little bit of a coming out game. Will the Grizzlies now adjust to his adjustments and make adjustments? And now Cat's got to, you know what I mean? And then D-Russ has a 7 assist prop, 2 3-pointer made, 6.5 points, 32 fantasy point projection. Patrick Beverley's at 10.5 real points. I know you mentioned that on your first look video this morning. 1.5 threes and 28 fantasy points. So that's about as high as we've seen that number in this series yet. So what's standing out to you on the T-Wolves side? And talk to me about your game theory and what you said you had some thoughts that you want to share on T-Wolves and Grizzlies.
Yeah, so I think the major difference that happened with Cat in that last game is they realized that the length and just the defensive prowess in the paint for the Grizzlies is just too good against Cat. So they're just basically taking him out of the low post, the low block, and just having him come up at the top and just basically running the offense to the top at the high post. And then what that's doing, I mean, it's allowing Cat to utilize his mid-range and also his three-point shooting as well, which he's really good at for a big man. And it allows him to draw more fouls too, because if he's facing the basket at the top, he can, with his ability, with his footwork, he can draw fouls easier with facing the basket at the top and being able to drive as well. So he took a lot of free throws that game. But with that said, I think the Grizzlies will adjust somehow because they were just getting torched by him. And if you notice in this series, everything runs through Cat, starts and stops with Cat for the T-Wolves. If he has a bad game, the Grizzlies win and they win big. If he's smoking the Grizzlies, then they win. It's pretty straightforward. So I think Cat and this is hard to say because I know people have strong feelings about him, but I think Cat has to be the focal point again for the T-Wolves to win. They're gonna have to feed him. And so I think, he's really thrived early on in the game because he can be more aggressive and not worry about fouls. So you'll see like first quarter and beginning of the second quarter, he's really dominant and thriving. So with that theory, I mean, I still kind of like his first half props, especially his fantasy at 21 fantasy points, because I think they're just gonna try to feed him early on and get him going early so he can, get his feet under him, get his rhythm going. And with that, you avoid the foul trouble, and you avoid Cat, who tends to be like Harden, who will just disappear in the second half, pull the magician. I'm gonna disappear. And you also potentially a blowout. Memphis. We've seen Memphis has ability to blow the T Wolves out, especially when they're back in Memphis. So that makes me like his first half props even more so. Although, I mean, your projections have Cat about 56 fantasy points for full game, and he's at 42 for the full game. So that's a huge gap difference. He is racking up blocks as Morant and others drive to the paint, and especially when Jaren Jackson tries to score in the low post. It's risky, but I mean, if you trust the model and the projections, you could go with that. But I still think the first half makes more sense, in my opinion. Now, if Cat's struggling, then Ant-Man is going to be the de facto guy to go to, and he's been efficient. I mean, he's been just like I said in the first video, a walking 3-point printer. He's just averaging 4 threes a game in this series. He's taking almost 10 threes a game in this series. So you could just keep riding that 3-point train and just go with this 3.5 3-point made if you don't go with the taco. But with the taco being at 19.5, that makes sense. Yeah, I think he will be needed, obviously. And then Pat Bev, he's playing huge minutes now. He's playing 35 plus minutes. That last game he played the entire fourth quarter and closed, and finished with 37 minutes. If you're gonna get 35 plus minutes of Pat Bev, and he stays out of foul trouble, then I mean his fantasy points still make sense at 28 because way more minutes than the fantasy point projection, and he's gonna be active on defense and fill the stat line. But you could also consider his 10.5 points. I mean, he's really taking advantage of Morant. He's driving at him, drawing fouls on him, and getting easy layups. And the Grizzlies are just leaving him open at the 3-point line. They want him to take the shot more so than guys like Anthony Edwards, Beasley, and D'Lo. So if he can make his threes, wide open threes, I mean, that 10.5 should be no problem to clear. But it's Pat Bev, so it makes sense to go this fantasy since he does fill the stat line. And other guys, I mean, I'm lukewarm on. I'm curious to see what happens now. So Jordan McLaughlin, he played really well. Chris Finch really liked his performance last game. He was like a burst of energy for the team. He was making the right decisions, the right reads, and very effective with his shooting. So I think he's kind of carving out a role and might earn more minutes, and that can affect guys like Beasley. Could even get into D'Lo's minutes as well. So I'm really hesitant. I want to see what happens in this game, how Chris Finch handles that. Does he get McLaughlin more run and more involved in the offense since he was so good? Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand. I'm gonna probably primarily go with Pat Bev, and then first half props for Cat, and then the taco probably for Ant.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with all that. I'm struggling internally with how to, I don't want to say how to predict this game. The downside of player props is that we can't really play ranges of outcomes, right? Like like in DFS, I can hedge with if this happens with this lineup, tell this story. I guess you can kind of do that with multiple cards, but who wants to do multiple prop bets on the same guy? And I feel like, and let me know if maybe you could at least appreciate this thought process. I got this thought that Grizzlies at home are going to smoke the T-Wolves, bro. I just feel like they're going to come out inspired, coming back, protecting the Grindhouse.
Sure.
Going to be on it, and we've seen them make adjustments. If there's any team in the playoffs so far that have made adjustments to the
Yes.
adjustments, it is Memphis. They full on benched Steven Adams. I mean,
Yes.
Steve Nash couldn't even do that down 3-0 with Andre Drummond. So
Yeah.
I feel like what beats Memphis in one game is very unlikely to beat Memphis in the very next game. Does that make
Then
sense?
yeah, yeah. Then if you think that and it makes total sense, then you got to go under on Cat, because he will be their main focus and to stop, because they realize like if you stop him, that engine stops for T Wolves. So
Yeah, and you know maybe T Wolves found something that they just can't scheme against. But I don't know. I think this is one of those Memphis with a uppercut here, and then we'll see if T Wolves can bounce back.
hmm
I'm hoping for a full a 12 round slugfest because this is just fun basketball. But Memphis has been that team all year, especially coming off a loss. I like them to kind of bounce back and yeah. So I'm wrestling with Cat. With that said, we've seen Cat even in 2 games back had that strong first quarter. So I think
hmm
no matter what, I'm not pushing back on the Cat first half prop. I think that makes a lot of sense. And while I do that, I do see it looks like they're starting to put some Heat props up. So that's good news. So that 21 fantasy point first half prop is live. He's hit that in 3 of the 4 games so far. And then as the fouls start catching up with him, or they start scheming against him in the latter half, that's when it becomes a problem. So I don't mind that. And then I'm with you on the Beverly. I was loving the Beverly 22 fantasy point prop. You know what I mean? And then they took that from us. They have him at 14 first half, and then 28 on the full game. They are having some issues with this Anthony Edwards taco, man. I'm telling you what.
yeah,
It has come and gone. I've seen 19 and a half. Now I see 23 and a half again. Chat saying they had it, and then the timer. I think they'll fix it. Give them some credit, guys. They obviously didn't expect Butler to get benched. So be patient with them on the taco. I'm sure they'll adjust and make it work. So I'm assuming Anthony Edwards 19 and a half points is we're not even gonna overthink that, right? You're gonna take that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. I know there's a group of taco pessimists out there
Yeah,
where tacos have a knack of failing, but yeah, I like the 19 and a half. I like the shot volume, and thankfully he's not injured, man. I had a little bit of a scare. Any like random tertiary props that you like here? They have 3.5 free throws on Edwards. They have 6 free throws on Cat, and Cat had 14 free throws in that last game. And if
hmm
if Cat cannot be in foul trouble, he can stay on the court longer and get Jaren Jackson Jr. in foul trouble and guys like that. And that's what we saw, man. 14 free throws there. So if you like him to stay out of foul trouble, maybe that's live here. And then nothing else that really piques my interest. Maybe Beverly's 1.5 threes. Any of these tertiary shots and these low number props that you like? Maybe the free throws.
for Cat.
Cat or Edwards.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. Like Taylor Jenkins for Memphis, he acknowledged, and the whole team acknowledged that that was the biggest difference in that last game. Was the difference in the amount of free throw attempts between the teams. So the T Wolves took 40 free throws, and the Grizzlies took 25. So I mean, it's hard to win a game when you're almost doubled in free throw attempts from the opposing team. I think they're gonna try to keep their hands to themselves. I know it's hard to control that and how the refs call a game, but they are at home. Maybe get calls a little going their way a little more because the T Wolves were at home that last game. So it's risky, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna change. I think you're gonna see you're gonna see a major change in this game at home.
Yeah, I'm with it. Like I think they do adjust here. So let's go take a look at the Grizzlies side here.
Yep.
Let me get caught up on chat before I do that. Colin says I loved my cat sign up for last hour until the shimmy news just got me all messed up. That sucks. Get them likes up. Yeah, 120 viewers, 27 likes. We have almost 100 more viewers than likes. I think you guys can do better. Josh, should we incentivize
Yeah.
the 100 likes?
Yeah.
It is our favorite track meet. So at 100 likes, free prop detector in the free Discord.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it, chat. You heard it. 100 likes. Let's go. Looking at the Grizzlies props over on PrizePicks, they got Ja Morant at 25.5. I've been all over these Ja Morant unders at 28, 29, 30 the last couple games. I think you mentioned it this morning on the first look video. But watching it, as I have a little less of a coach mind, or coach brain like you, and just knowing how Ja Morant scores is what? Points in the paint. He's going to lead the league in
Downhill.
points in the paint.
Yep.
He goes to
Yep.
the rack. Well, the T-Wolves have been playing pretty physical in the paint. Nas Reed, Jared Vanderbilt, Tarin Prince, Cat even. If you get to the rack, it's going to hurt, first of all. And secondly, they're scheming them well to kind of prevent that from even happening. So the buckets that he is making, it's a lot of these circus style switch in midair, hook shots and stuff like that. So they're making it hard for Ja Morant to score, and we're starting to see a reduction in his point prop. So let's see if that stays true tonight and how they play him. But because of that, we're seeing some of the other peripherals come up. 9.5 is his assist prop. I feel like that's one of the higher assist props I've seen on Ja Morant all year, but it makes a lot of sense. They have him at 49 fantasy points. They have 1.5 blocks, steals, 5.5 free throws made. And one thing about Ja that doesn't make sense, for a guard that takes as many shots in the paint as he does, you would think he'd be taking more free throws, right? You would think there'd be more fouls from these bigs, but it's not. They're just not there. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a Cam Newton. You're not old enough to get that call situation, but maybe once he starts learning how to draw some fouls while he's driving to the rack, I think that'll help him with some space. Desmond Bane, arguably the most improved player, according to Ja Morant.
Yeah, give him an award.
He's at 20.5 points, 3.5 3-pointers made, 29 PRA, 34 fantasy points. We got Dylan Brooks up here as well at 18.5 points, 26 fantasy points. That's pretty low. Jaren Jackson Jr., 28 fantasy points if he can stay on the court. Your boy Tyus Jones has been earning some minutes. Brandon Clark has been earning his minutes. And we know we might also see some Xavier Tillman and Colin Anderson, guys like that. But I think we know who we're most likely to target. I do like the thought of Brandon Clark. I'd probably hold off for his fantasy points. It's not up yet. We'll see if they give us a decent line here. Talk to me about what you're targeting on the Grizzlies. Do you like any of these Ja Morant lines?
So I did some little bit of research on this and found some stuff. And I didn't even think about it and consider it. So besides the T-Wolves dropping coverage and playing zone, basically creating a wall, blocking the paint, kind of what you have seen in the past, what teams have done against Giannis, especially like the Celtics with Brad Stevens as a coach. Just basically create a wall and you don't let them in the paint. And Jared Vanderbilt, as a result, is playing 30 plus minutes. That game where Morant went off for 23 real points, Vanderbilt only played 9 minutes that game. And now they're back to Vanderbilt playing 35 minutes, and he's helping with that zone coverage with Cat in the paint. So they're really trying to force them out of the paint, and as a result, Morant with that zone coverage and dropping in coverage, that's leaving open shooters on the outside for guys like Tyus Jones and Dylan Brooks and Bane, and that's just skyrocketed Morant's assists. But found out like Morant's still dealing with that knee injury, and he's not 100%, and he's admitted, and he said it's really hurting his burst and making him second guess attacking the basket. So, I mean, the combination of that, like him acknowledging that he's not 100%, and the guy who relies on like his athleticism and attacking the paint, and then also being honed in on defense and having a defense schemed around to stop him, man, that makes me hesitant. But I mean, if this was a bounce back spot at home, this would be it. But yeah, we just don't know. I mean, he's been wearing a knee brace apparently, like during warm-ups and before the games and in between games. So yeah, he's just not 100%. But I mean, that 5.5 free throws is definitely tempting being at home. And if he does get more aggressive and draw the fouls, that's right at his season average at that 5.5 mark. I would say probably that. And then I mean, I think the 9.5 assists is high, but I mean, if this I think the T-Wolves just continue to do the same thing. It's worked the last 2 games in terms of stopping Morant. And so he's going to look to dish it. And you could pair that 9.5 assists with either Dylan Brooks, 18.5 points, or Baines, 20.5 points. I really like Tyus Jones props. The 6.5 points I think is just too low. He's playing, like I said, he's been playing more and more minutes alongside Morant and helping out when Morant's getting trapped or just struggling or in foul trouble like he's been in. um, so yeah, if I had to rank it, I would say Tyus Jones is 6.5 points or his PRA I really like. And then Dylan Brooks. So last game he led in usage and shot volume, and he didn't play the fourth quarter because he was pretty much in foul trouble the entire game, and he had 5 fouls. He still cleared that point prop easily, not even playing the fourth quarter and just playing 25 minutes. He was really aggressive attacking the basket and living off the mid-range game, which I like if you're trying to clear low point total like that for a playoff game at home. So I would probably rank him number 2 behind Tyus Jones, and then I would probably go Dylan or Desmond Baines 3.5 3 since they did juice his points up to 20.5 now. But yeah, and then Clark, you can go with his real points since he is like the third offensive threat on the Grizzlies right now. Yeah, so that's pretty much my rank order, my game theory behind this one.
Yeah, I like all that. Like I said, I think the Grizzlies at home will try to make a statement. Desmond Bane in the last 2 games, 8 of 12 and 7 of 15 from downtown.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like if you watch that game, you would think like because Desmond Bane just took over and he was like the main scoring option. You would think that he led in usage and shot volume, but there was actually Dylan Brooks. He took 2 more shots than Bane, and he led in usage with over 35%. So it was kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty in agreement. So I don't know that I have a John Morant line that I'm comfortable with on both ways. Like I don't love the under of 25, but I don't love the over. And then the 9.5 assists is right at the edge. And the thing with John Morant and the thing with the assist here, I know he's been playing alongside Tyus Jones, but one of these days that's not going to be a good thing for his assist, right? Because Tyus Jones can facilitate himself.
Sure.
So that definitely has me a little bit spooked here. So maybe I look at underdog, see if there's a better line.
Yeah, and that knee injury's got me spooked now too.
Yeah. So underdog has them at 26.5 points. They also have 9.5 assists, 7 boards, 1.5 threes. So most of the lines are pretty much the same. They have them at 45, almost 46 fantasy points versus the 49 fantasy points on PrizePicks. So if you are digging the under of like 49, you're getting a better line for the under on PrizePicks, and if you're liking the over, you're getting a better line on underdog. So kind of check that out. He's hit the under on this 49 in back-to-back games, and the last game was down to the wire. So some observations there. If we have to core or rank our favorite picks from either side here, based on what we just talked about, is it going to be Cat's first half fantasy? Beverly real points?
Yeah, or fantasy. I'd say they're neck and neck.
FPS, okay. And then are we thinking Bane real points? Bane and Brooks real points?
I would say Brooks real points first, and then Baines 3 points second.
Okay, that makes sense. So we'll do Brooks real points, Bane threes, bet. And then I want to hold off for
Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones real points 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Tyus Jones real points. All right, cool. I want to hold out for Brandon Clark fantasy point prop to drop. Do we have anything on underdog for Brandon Clark? We do not. Underdog also only has one Tyus Jones line. It's the 13 PRA. So, yeah. Get caught up on chat here. By the way, chat, 100 likes. We're dropping the prop detector for free in the free Discord. So if you just tuned in, hit that thumbs up and make sure you're in the free Discord. Gundacker, he did that on the road. Should be home cooking tonight. It must be a jaw thing. So does Duncan Robinson do his thing tonight? Oh, God. Tyus Jones over 6.5 points, covered every game of the series. Yeah, Wayne, I think that's going to look like... That looks like it might end up being a core pick when it's all said and done. All right, so why don't we rewind it a little bit, get to the Miami game. Now it looks like we have some props up. Actually, let me see if I don't think Underdog has Heat props up yet. Maybe we will hit the last game, and then we'll go backwards and try to figure
Yeah.
out this Heat situation. Oh, they do have props up, so we can. You want to talk about the Heat game, or?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So if you guys are living under a rock, you just got off work, tactical nuke. This is what I yelled in chat earlier. Jimmy Butler out for the Heat. He joins Kyle Lowry, who is already out and was out last game. So this Heat team certainly changes. And we're going to go use the NBA Wowie tool to kind of maybe give us a lean on how it changes and what changes. Well, I guess the eye test would suggest, Josh, that I expect more from Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and now the emergence of Victor Oladipo. So those are probably the three names I'm most intrigued with. But let's take off Jimmy Butler. Let's take off Kyle Lowry. And let's put on Adebayo just for the season and kind of see what we're working with. I do think this is one of those. It's going to be a little bit volatile because Oladipo didn't play that many minutes all year, and there was many games where he was out. But on the season, in a little over 200 minutes of sample size, Adebayo has a 24% usage rate, a 23% assist rate, and then we have some scattered numbers. Hero at 27% usage, 27% assist rate, and then there's some Vincent, some Strus, some Duncan Robinson, stuff like that in here. They're going against what has been a bottom 5 defensive efficiency Atlanta Hawks team. Do we have an update on Clint Capella, NBA, Roto World? Let me pull up NBC Sports Edge to see if they have a lean there. Gun Bane threes. Yeah, good call. Heat props are going to crush the fake. Man, I hope so. The Heat, though, they can definitely troll. Like we've seen Tyler Hero supposed to be the smash play of the century this season, or really the last couple seasons, and when it makes too much sense, that's when it doesn't happen, and vice versa. But I'll probably be there. I'll definitely be on that over half assist. I'll tell you that. Clint Capella. This is from today. Right knee and Bogdanovich knee are being listed as questionable. Capella returned from knee injury on Sunday, logged 21 minutes as a starter. Nate McMillan said this morning that Capella was, quote, fine. So we say he's closer to probable. So expect that to play out as such. Man, where do we start? Well, I guess we'll start with what does the absence of Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler mean? Well, it means that maybe this lockdown top defense is a little less lockdowny, and maybe finally Trae Young can have a game in a path of less resistance than he has been dealing with the last couple days. Now, obviously, Spoelstra and them know how to scheme him, but there is still a talent degradation, if you will, going from Butler to really anyone else. So let me ask you this: Trae Young was he entered this slate with a lot of low props, and I think a lot of this is the result of the last couple games, such as a 40 fantasy point prop, and I have him for 52 right now. Would you say that 40 fantasy points versus not Jimmy, not Lowry, is possible? Or do you think it's more of a team scheme than anything? I gotta believe it's a little of both, but I'll give Jimmy Butler a lot of credit. Right, he's potentially a 40-minute all defensive guy out there. Last game he played 36 minutes. The game before 41 minutes. So going from a Butler to anyone else is a plus, especially if it means a little bit more Tyler Hero defense, which is the Achilles heel, the traffic cone of this defense. So would you want to get behind some Trae Young over 40 fantasy points?
Man, yeah. So I don't know if I heard that stat in my first look video I found, but in the 4 games in this series, Trae Young, when he's on the court, the offensive rating for the Hawks is significantly worse than when he's off the court. Which is like unlike it. Like all season long, it was the opposite. Like when Trae was off, like the offensive rating took a significant dip than when he was on during the regular season. But this series, it's the complete opposite. He's just been so bad on offense and taking the team down with him. But yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, so Jimmy Butler, traditionally with this switch defense, he'll sit on the wing and kind of slack in to fill those gaps. And then once someone drives, he'll slide in from the wing to stop and fill those gaps. With him out, yeah, that's a huge hole. So maybe Trey could get to the paint more because the Hawks. I mean, their bread and butter is Trey driving and then having the option to either pull up and shoot that mid-range jumper or to give the lob to Capella or find the guy in the wing. So maybe that's more available today. So maybe his assist rate goes up, and if Clint can play more minutes today, that would make his assist rate go up even more so. So I don't know. I mean, I think I would lean since it's still a high number for him in a bad matchup, the 40 fantasy points. Maybe I would lean his assist, thinking that Jimmy Butler overall hurts the switch defense and gives more opportunity for other guys to have more open looks. And with Tyler Hero, I don't know, man. Like I don't know what Spoelstra does. With him being such a defensive liability, and now that you lose your key defensive centerpiece besides Bam, playing Hero would make it even more of a negative defensive effect. Like, I mean, do they? I don't think the Heat are worried about scoring and against his defense. I think they're more worried about stopping Trey in the offense.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I do think there's a case to be made that this Heat offense without Lowry and Butler is gonna need a spark plug. I mean, Jimmy Butler represents 20 plus points in every game this series, and 45 and 36 in two of the last three. A couple of double digit free throw attempts, stuff like that. And is able to facilitate. So that's a big chunk of offense, especially we're talking, some of these games are scoring just 110 points here. So you're getting, almost 15% of your points stripped away, maybe closer to 20% when you imply assist and just, creating plays and stuff like that. So man, I don't know. I feel like at some point there is a range of outcome for me on the Hawks to put up some points here and grab a lead. And once you have a lead, and I did a query, the Miami Heat have a defensive rating of 112.5 without Jimmy Butler this season. With Jimmy Butler on the season, it was 109. So that's not insignificant. If the Heat start playing with a little bit of a deficit, Tyler Hero, he's the offensive spark plug that you're gonna have to call upon.
Yeah.
So maybe he doesn't start, and maybe there's a lot of people blindly thinking he would start. But I think we've seen that.
Yeah, that's gonna be Gabe. Gabe did such a good job on Trey. Gabe was actually better on Trey because Gabe at this point in Lowry's career, how slow he is now and defensively against fast guys like Trey. Gabe was actually fast, much faster and able to recover and follow Trey around. So yeah, I still think Gabe dominates the point guard role, and it's just a matter of like, do we think that Depot or Hero gets more minutes and more usage with the second unit?
Yeah, seeing that Depot can give you 23 minutes is encouraging.
And he played decent defense in that game too. He did.
Yeah. All right. So.
Oh, so it's back to the Hawks.
Yeah. So with Trae Young, then what would be your if we wanted to do it? And I think I want to take the fantasy points. I do.
All right.
But I also don't hate the thought of the assist because 8 is pretty low. This guy was averaging double-digit assists on the season, and one of his partners in Capella, some of those lobs come back in the mix here. So I think 40 fantasy points, the opportunity is still kind of there for me, and it's one of those we got to win games, right? Like it's
sure.
What is it 3-1?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no going home. There's no reason to bench Trey in the fourth quarter. You go out there and fight. So I think 40 fantasy points, we're getting close to potential minute projection per fantasy points. And I think Trae Young, I think they know that. So I'm going to take, I probably want to nominate Trae Young 40 fantasy points as being a little bit too low. So I'm going to add that to my list here, 40 FPS. And then out of curiosity, what does Underdog have him? Underdog has him at... They don't have fantasy points from. They have 37.5 PRA, which is 2 PRA higher than what PrizePicks is offering right now. So it looks like if we do want to grab some Trae Young overs, the better lines are on PrizePicks right now. They also have at 8.5 assists, so they're hooking you on that 8. So yeah, right now we're getting much softer lines on PrizePicks. So maybe we'll see, money start moving those lines up higher. So if you want them, go get them. Elsewhere on the Hawks here, you want to stick here. What do you like?
So let's say Tyler Hero plays 30 plus minutes off the bench, then I want to attack his defense, and to do that, I want guys that are gonna run the second unit like Bogdan. And so I want to, his 14.5 points is appealing, especially if he's gonna get a lot of Tyler Hero defense and switches on him. He could thrive in this matchup, and same goes for DeLon Wright. Once we get props for him, he's earning more minutes, and he's been a spark plug for them. So yeah, I like the second unit guys for the Hawks going against a much weaker Heat defensive unit. And then DeAndre Hunter, he's had his hands full trying to follow and guard Jimmy Butler, who's burned him all series. Now Jimmy's out, so Hunter can focus probably more on offense. And he's gonna have some open 3-point shots, that's for sure. Because like I said, Jimmy's been covering that wing, and sliding in and out. When it's kicked out, he'll slide out to that wing to help guard that three ball. And Hunter likes that corner 3, so that 1.5 3-point made. I was already kind of thinking about it. Now I like it even more. And his 21 fantasy points is pretty low for the amount of minutes he could play. I think he's been dealing with foul trouble because of Jimmy in this series. But hopefully you can stay out of foul trouble with Jimmy being out now. So I think it's 21 fantasy. I'd rank his 1.5 3-point made. He's averaging around 5 3-point attempts in this series. That could even go up with Jimmy out. And then probably number 2 is 21 fantasy points. And then I like Bogdan's 14.5 points. And then let's see what we get for DeLon Wright. They usually drop it like an hour before lock.
You ready to move over to the Heat side?
Yeah.
All right. So when we did that NBA Wowie for the Heat, Bam Adebayo had a 24% usage rate, 23% assist rate, 1.2 fantasy point per minute. And I know Adebayo seems like a touchy subject lately in our circle. They don't have a fantasy point prop on him yet, but he does pick up some responsibility. We've seen him flirt with triple doubles in scenarios without Lowry and Adebayo. So I'd probably hold out for a solid fantasy point prop. And looking at
what about his assist prop? I probably like that the most.
All right, so PrizePicks assist prop on Bam is.
We've seen when Jimmy and Larry have been out in this season, like they run the offense at the high post through Bam, and he'll dictate the offense through his passing to all those 3-point shooters and Strauss and Duncan and PJ in the corner.
Yeah, I'm with that. Matter of fact, I was gonna point out, I think the Heat are just way too underpriced on all these projections. Yes. PrizePicks has Bam's assist at 4, and Underdog started at 4.5.
Wait, it's up to 4 now? I'm seeing 3.5.
Refresh. I got 4, but that's still cheaper than what Underdog is offering. So,
that makes me a little more hesitant because 4 would probably be like the mark I was really shooting for.
Okay, well, they just dropped fantasy points, like literally in front of my face at 39.
Oh,
I'm with it. I'm at 45. Give me a 6-point gap.
Win sprints for the win.
I'm gonna need you to take that energy right now, Josh. I need you to green mile it out of your mouth. You ever seen the Green Mile?
Oh yeah.
Get the bees and just chunk it somewhere else, bro. We're taking the mother. God dang it!
All right.
Bam Adebayo is gonna do it, bro. He's gonna do it. 39 fantasy points. I'm targeting the over. Bam.
Okay.
Adebayo.
And then what do we do with PJ Tucker? He's gonna play big minutes with Butler out.
I'm sure.
His PRA was at 15.5. Now it's up to 17.5. It's 2 stat lines more, but he's going to be more involved in the glass, and he's going to be needed for his 3-point shooting in that corner.
there's just certain things that
You don't put money on?
maybe we just threw the Green Mile thing at me, bro. But yeah, my mama raised me not to put money on PJ Tucker.
All right.
But I mean, what do you like? What's your gut saying?
His PRA.
PRA.
If,
Okay.
if he's gonna play close to, which I imagine he'll play close to 35 minutes. I think he's gonna be active on the glass and he can hopefully make his 3-point shots and get some putbacks. But I mean, you could also go with his rebounds too. But I mean, yeah, it's going against Capella.
All right.
All right. But I mean, I still like Strauss. He's only went up 1 point from 12.5 to 13.5. That last game, he played big minutes, 35 minutes, and I think that ate into Hero's minutes, who only played 21. I think Spoelstra favors Strauss more for his shooting and defense. So I think that he can get hot from 3. So I think that 13.5 is a little low for him. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to see what that lineup looks like. Gabe Vincent's the main one that I want to trust. Well,
Yeah.
Strauss and Duncan Robinson, those guys, I'm a little more hesitant. PJ first half points. PJ Tucker had 15 PRA at half last game with Jimmy in. Man, I'm just saying, I don't know that Jimmy out is necessarily a net positive for PJ Tucker, but at the end of the day, it's also just PJ Tucker. Tucker this season with Butler and Lowry off the court has a 13.4% usage rate. He has 0.8 of a fantasy point per minute. So hey, maybe he's live. Maybe he's live for that fantasy point prop because he might put 22 fantasy points. So we probably
like that more. You like that more than
you're not gonna trick me. I'm not gonna tout PJ
Come
Tucker.
on, Cat. Convince him.
I'm not gonna PJ Tucker. I'll say I do have him at 25 PrizePicks fantasy points. So I'm slightly over 22, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Okay, well then, Gabe Vincent, he's a little more appealing.
I can get down with that. I think 23 might be a free square. No, maybe that's strong.
I was thinking his PRA. I mean, he's not much of a. What is he averaging stock wise on the season when he's getting minutes? I don't think.
I've got him for 1.2 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal a game, and that's without averaging 30 minutes a game, so a little bit. I'll say this: I have him at 28 fantasy points, so maybe free square is a little egregious, but it is a little bit. That's over 6 above the or over 5 above the 23 fantasy point prop, so I don't mind it.
I mean, but his PRA is like almost 6 less. I would vote if I was gonna vote on it and rank it. I would say his real points, because he's gonna chug it from 3 and he's gonna drive it he's gonna be aggressive driving to the basket, and then I would go PRA 17.5.
All right, I got him for about 18.5 PRA in my projections.
That's good. It's rare when you get a PRA higher on your projections. They're usually spot on with theirs.
All right.
And then what do we do with Hero, man?
I wanted to throw it at you, so you felt obligated to answer that one first. You know what I'm gonna do? If I was brand new to the stream. Do you know what I would do with Tyler Hero, Josh?
Yeah.
What would I do? You don't know. You want to know? I tell you.
Yeah.
Well, I would be like, what's the absolute best Tyler Hero prop I could get in existence today? Oh, I know what it is. It's the link that Gundacker just put in chat to go sign up for Underdog. And when I sign up using that link, it's going to let me double my first deposit. And I'm going to put as much as I possibly can on Tyler Hero over half an assist. That's what I'm doing with Tyler Hero today. And then I'll pair it with some of the other fire stuff. And I'll probably look at the prop detector because I'm assuming stream's going to get to 100 likes. And at 100 likes, Josh said he'll post the prop detector in the free Discord. So that's what I'm doing with Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero, by the way, I think he's missed an assist like once since like ever. Tyler Hero, watch this. Hero assist by game log. Let's go last 30 games. How many times have we got 0? None in the last 30 games, Josh. There's a couple ones, but none has he gotten zero. So with no Lowry, with no Bam, or excuse me, no Lowry and no Butler, Hero has a 27% assist rate. I'm jamming that. That's probably their taco, so to speak. So that's what I'm gonna do at Hero. If I really want to answer that question, I don't even think 4.5 assists is out of the question. But this comes down to what we think Spoelstra would do and what our game script is. Because yes, he is a defensive liability, but if they're losing out on some offensive spark, if Vincent's shot ain't wet, as the kids would say, Hero can come in there and be that burst of energy. And Hero still representing about 20 minutes a game. So I think we can imply him for upwards of 30 minutes here, if not more, in the absence of Jimmy and Lowry. So I'd probably take a shot. I think he's priced appropriately on both sides, to be honest. 35 fantasy points is probably in line with what I got, I
would go PRA over fantasy for him.
I'm at
He doesn't
38,
get
so
stocks.
that's really, really close. So I think he's priced right, and Underdog has the non-discount props at 21.5 points. You're getting a better deal. Looks like Underdog is priced the Heat a lot more expensive than PrizePicks has. So, yeah. I got nothing. I think I just take the half an assist and I'm rolling out. Free throws,
Okay.
maybe 3 free throws.
Nah.
No, okay, all right. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he attacks the paint. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would rather hold out and see what the depot lines look like. If they're favorable, I will probably choose Depot over him. I wouldn't play both of them. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna stick to Gabe and Bam, stacks in a card, and hope I don't get wind sprints.
Yeah, don't get wind sprints. I'm with it. All right, is that it for the Heat? Want to get to the main event?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, chat. Donnie Boone says, my mama told me, think with your heart and never play PJ Tucker. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Hey, chat, if you guys want my projections for NBA and also access to my MLB spreadsheet or the DFS projections, go to rundfs.com, click VIP memberships, get yourself signed up. A week pass gets you in there every day. Voice chat, that's the biggest benefit I think that this pass offers that the YouTube membership doesn't, is the fact that we're in the voice chat for a couple hours before lock and oftentimes bleeding into post lock and watching some games. And, we try to convince each other not to jump off of bridges once.
Sometimes we encourage it. And
yeah, I was going to say, maybe we're not encouraging, maybe we could be more supportive.
We meet each other there, so on the other side.
I was going to make a joke, but that might get me demonetized. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sewer slide. The slides that go into the sewers?
Uh-huh.
Sewer slide on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Pelicans at the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be a good one. The Pelicans are on the road here in Phoenix. The Suns and Chris Paul more so coming off their one of the worst games we've seen them play in a while, especially Chris Paul. I'll be looking for them to bounce back. The Suns are favored by 6.5 here, but the Pelicans, man, they look like without Devin Booker, hey, they got a puncher's chance at maybe pulling off an upset. Looking at the PrizePicks board for the Phoenix Suns, do you want to start with the Suns or the Pelicans?
We start with the Pelicans since they're the away team.
All right, Pelicans. Speaking of the Pelicans, let's go check in. As expected, the world did not want to be great on Brandon Ingram's PRA, so they're targeting 22.5 points. So the second PrizePicks taco special that's coming is going to be the Brandon Ingram 22.5 points. So I'll start with that, as when that prop drops and Brandon Ingram's 22.5 real points is on the board. Are you going to put some action on that? He has gotten you 30, 34, 37 real points in the last 3 games. And then we know dating back to the regular season, He's definitely got you a chance to break that over. The minutes are going to be super super high as long as this game is competitive, and it's one of those spots you got to win. You got to win these games, so maybe you're a little less likely to hit the bench. So if you open up the app and see 22.5 points for Brandon Ingram, 4-point discount from their initial projection, are you taking the over as a max bet on the taco?
I want to. But let me talk about this. So Ingram was basically unstoppable in that basically the first half of that last game. And I mean pretty much 3/4 of this series. And I just think that Monty Williams has to make an adjustment. We've seen Monty trap the team's best scorers with Mikal Bridges and Crowder coming in. Crowder being the shadow trapper coming in to help Bridges. And Ingram, he's shown his game film. If Monty and the Suns just look at the film, it's right there in front of their face. He favors going to his right. He will always go to his right. He does not like going to his left. So I think you just trap him on his right side and just force him to pass it. I mean, they can't keep allowing him to score 30+ points in this series, or the Suns without D-Book don't have the offensive firepower to keep up with someone who's scoring that much, and then the secondary guys will fill in the rest. So I just had this gut feel that Monty's gonna do that and really focus their attention on Ingram. And another problem with Ingram is that Willie Green does this rotation with him where he likes to keep him out as long as he can at the start of the fourth quarter, until like the other team starts making a run, and he just does this because he wants to keep Ingram fresh for like the last 6 minutes of the game to close. Um, so yeah, I mean Ingram's gonna miss out on some key fourth quarter run. Um, so I'm kind of with that theory. I'm kind of leaning McCollum here. I think McCollum will have more open shots with them trapping um, Ingram, and I think he's gonna have some open 3-point shots. So he could go with this 3-point prop, but I think his 23.5 points is too low too. Yeah, I just have this feeling that McCollum's gonna pick up the scoring today, and they're gonna let him shoot those 3-point outside shots, and if they get burned by that, they do, but they're not gonna let Ingram continuously take these high percentage mid range shots and kill him with it. And he's really good with that pump fake to draw fouls too, which I mean he lives on the free throw line. And Monty said they want to stop the fouls. Because that was another lopsided free throw game. Just like the T-Wolves Grizzlies game where the Pelicans took way more free throws. So I think the game script, I think they plan for that. So I'm gonna rank McCollum number one on the Pelicans right now. And then J-Val. I mean, yeah. So the Pelicans are killing them on the glass, and Willie Green's actually running J-Val and Larry Nance together now, and he's doing that so they can get more offensive rebounds and putbacks, especially when the offense is struggling. So that's a good and bad thing. So when I mean Nance is a very good offensive rebounder and a good rebounder in general. That's like his main specialty. So they will cut into each other's rebounds. So I mean you kind of have to rest on the fence about J-Val's 12.5 rebounds, but I mean he has been very efficient against Ayton in the front court. And then man, Jose Alvarado. Wait, what a hero
That's my
story.
boy, man.
Undrafted. Yeah, I mean he's basically a younger version of Chris Paul. He's trying to be a younger version of Chris Paul, and he's just too fast and hustles too hard. And Chris Paul at his age, he doesn't want to deal with that. Someone that gritty and hustles that hard, and it's getting into Chris Paul's head. I mean, they're talking back and forth. You can definitely see it's affecting Chris Paul. But Willie Green's really smart with him. He's not going to play him 30 minutes. He's going to play him strategically in certain stints when he knows Chris Paul is going to be out there the most. And so, I mean, Jose's going to play, around probably 18 to 20 minutes still. And he's going to use them really strategically. I think Willie Green's doing a great job coaching this unit. He's taking the timeouts at the right time to end runs, to stop the momentum. He's actually out coaching Monty Williams, which is really surprising. I mean, he's made more adjustments. They're trapping Chris Paul, and they're saying like, hey, all the other Suns, you're gonna beat us, and they're not because they're playing terrible, which we'll get to. But yeah, I mean, Jose, he's just risky, especially since you saw that last game. It was in New Orleans. Jose was feeding off the crowd. Herb Jones was feeding off the crowd. So they both played probably above their level in that game with that momentum and energy. And going on the road, being young rookies, it's going to be a much harder environment. So I wouldn't expect the same production in this game like you saw in the last game, in Game 4. So I would hold off. I'm gonna hold off on those guys. I'm probably just gonna stick to McCollum and maybe consider some J-Val, either fantasy or rebounds. And then yeah, we can get to the Suns unless you like any of these other Pelicans.
So I mean, what do I add to the list here? McCollum points had
Points and 3-point prop.
okay. All right, yeah.
I mean, you can do fantasy too. He's active on defense. The 40 fantasy points is pretty low.
Yeah, and I also don't think it's like impossible for McCollum and Ingram, especially considering the taco, to combine for like 55 points. So I'd be there. You mentioned J-Val. He's at 36 fantasy points on his prop. That's one of the lower props we will ever see for him. That's right in line with my fantasy point projection, though. We're seeing Larry Nance get involved. We're seeing them run out some different lineups. So it's not a smash. But I do think we're going to like the Suns a little bit more. And the main reason is because the Suns have a little bit higher predictive value and who does what. Like there's not two Chris Pauls, right? There's one Chris Paul. He's going to be the general. And we know that he's going to kind of control the court, control the floor here. They listed him at 12 assists. I have been all about some Chris Paul assists really this whole series, but especially after Devin Booker went down. If we put Chris Paul on the court using the NBA Wowie tool and we take Devin Booker off the court, I think Chris Paul had something stupid like a 48% assist rate. Let me see what the official number is. It's down to 43%. That's stupid. That's dumb. 46%. So that means he's involved in just about half of the scoring one way or the other. So even though 12 sounds like a high number, I'd probably be willing to get there. But that's also on the assumption that the game stays competitive. And kind of like the Grizzlies game, I wouldn't be shocked if the Suns came out, Chris Paul. If you have Chris Paul on your team, Josh, it's like having two coaches. Like, he's so smart, and he's able to make, mid-game adjustments. And I just don't think that Chris Paul is going to let that last game be the norm, right? That is going to be one of the worst feelings that he's probably ever had. And I know he's got to be sick to allow Jose Alvarado to let that sneaky move happen and actually lost the ball based on that move. I know that it takes a little bit of pride, a little sting out of him. So I'm looking for that. And the other thing I like, and it was more so in the game prior, but he had no free throws in that last game. I think maybe that changes again. We talked about that rip-through move. So 3.5 free throws for him feels a little light, especially if we give them this tight lead, 6.5 point spread here. If he's got the ball in his hand in the fourth quarter, a couple of fouls for the Pelicans to try and get possessions back, Chris Paul might be the guy taking those free throws. So I do think 3.5 free throws is something I'm going to have in my list. They have him at 44 fantasy points. I'm at 52, so I'm on the over. And then DeAndre Ayton, hello, I'm here. We saw him come out in back-to-back games, 23, 28 real points, and he had that huge 60 fantasy point game, and DK scoring 2 games back. We know he's going to take double-digit shot attempts and probably going to flirt with a double-double. They listed him up at 38 fantasy points. I have him at 46, so I'm 8 points above their projection, so I'd be leaning the over on that. They also have him at 1.5 free throws. That's kind of hoping for a ticky-tack foul in the paint. So I do like that. And then Mikal Bridges, I know it doesn't always come through, but for a guy that's playing 40 minutes, I'll continue to take a shot at more minutes than fantasy point projection, so 27. I'll take a shot on that. Didn't quite get it that last game, but we talked about that last game. I don't think it's the norm, so it might be a sweat, but I'd probably have some action on 27 fantasy points in the over. Jay Crowder, no thank you. No thank you. No thank you. And the rest of the tertiary guys, I'm lukewarm on. Looking at the minute rotation for the Suns in that last game, Cameron Johnson started. He played 31 minutes. Would you be interested in some Cameron Johnson lines? He's at 14.5 real points as his prop. Hasn't exceeded that yet, but there's a bucket or two that's being left out there. I don't know. Probably not a core pick for me. 20.5 PRA is at least intriguing without Devin Booker. But that's kind of, I'm with you though at the top end. Chris Paul, what's your favorite Chris Paul line? Assist or fantasy points? Or and let me ask you this: does this game stay competitive for 4 quarters?
I think it depends what they do with Ingram. If they shut out Ingram and McCollum's shots not falling, then no. But I will say this: the Suns' secondary guys have been awful. I mean, just awful. I mean, Cameron Payne, what a turnaround. He went from being like the most talked about second unit guy, 6-man last season, especially with that playoff run to the finals, to now just being a liability. I mean, he's getting burned on defense. He's 0 of 7 from 3 in the last 2 games. His shooting percentage is just terrible, and he's hesitant. He's not making the right passes. I have this gut feel, and this is just, me just like really honestly a gut feeling. Nothing really substantial to go on, but I think we see some Aaron Holiday today, and I think he's gonna eat into some minutes of campaigns. And I think he came in to close that garbage run, and he was just super aggressive, and you could tell he actually cared. And he gives them more of an offensive threat, I think, than Campaign at this point. I think I think Monty Williams is just being loyal to him because Cameron Payne's earned his trust, and he's liked him ever since he brought him over from OKC. But I mean, he just forgot how to play basketball. And Cameron Johnson, he's been struggling with the shot. Last game, he started to make his shots more. They started moving him to the wing, get those easier, high percentage 3-point corner threes. He started making those. I mean, his shot has been way off. Maybe that was a turnaround for him, being at home, feeding off the crowd. Maybe he starts to make his shots more. I'm still hesitant on him. I want to see a good game from him. Yeah, for me, I mean, it's just Bridges. I think he's gonna be active. He tends to drive to the basket more and can get more layups. So, I mean, this is besides Ayton and Chris Paul. So I'd probably say Bridges 22.5 PRA is the only other thing I would consider. And then McGee, I mean, he's the only he's the only one doing anything on the second unit. The second unit is so bad. So I mean, yeah, he's gonna be a focal point of the offense with the second unit when the starters are out. So you could look to his PRA as well. But yeah, I mean, Ayton's 20 points is probably a top play for me from the Suns. He is the focal point of the offense. Monty's made that very clear, and you see it. Offense with their schemes, they're getting the ball at the high posts, and he's just draining shots, jumpers over J-Val. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think that Chris Paul only really trusts him at this point because Crowder, oh man, he would not be playing if it wasn't for his defense. Because offensively, he's right there with Cameron Payne, just being really bad. But I mean, they're gonna keep him out there for his defense, so he's still gonna get minutes. And Torrey Craig, I think he's done in this series. He just got absolutely burned by Ingram. He was a huge liability. They might have to place him right. Wainwright, I mean, he's going to be better defensively, but not as much offensively than Torrey Craig. But yeah, So if I had to rank it, I would go Chris Paul, 44 fantasy points. I think he's going to try to lead the team. However, in that last game during halftime, I don't know if it was just a ploy or not, but he kept favoring his wrist and was going like rotating it and holding it, the wrist that he had injured. And then in the second half, he ended up taking only 2 or 3 shots. Now I don't know if that was just due to like how they were trapping him and Jose giving him problems, or if he's just hesitant because of that wrist. That's something to think about. But I still like his fantasy points because he's going to rack up stocks and he's at home. But yeah, his 12 assists, I really want to click on it. We just got to hope these Suns guys, secondary guys, and role players play better at home, which, that tends to be the case in the playoff series. So yeah, I would say fantasy and then assist and then Ayton's 20 points. And then Bridges PRA is last on the ranking.
All right, it all makes sense to me. I agree with it all. It all is good. Tom, what up? Tom says they got Oladipo first half point prop out at 5.5. Ooh. McGee first half 3.5 points, 5 for 5 in the last couple games. Okay, that's a little hit rate, little hit rate action, chat. I know, we love that, right? All right, so that's what we're working with here, chat. If we get to 100 likes, remember, we'll drop the prop detector for free after we start ranking and coring, our props here. I think we're gonna smoke that. We only need 10 more to hit that, so do that. If you're not an underdog, click the link in chat. Get on underdog. Shop the prop lines between PrizePicks and underdog. Get the best line. I'm already seeing. It feels like generally most of the underdog lines are higher. So if you're into unders today, maybe you can go get some better lines on underdog and get the unders. And if you're into overs, you can probably get some softer lines on PrizePicks if you're targeting the overs here. We do have some more full game props for the Heat. Let me ask you this: Victor Oladipo, 11.5 real points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 20.5 PRA, and 24 fantasy points. No Jimmy Butler. Building off of that last outing, what do you think about those Depot props before I get us out of here? We were waiting on him. In that last outing, we saw him play 23 minutes, took double-digit shots, 6 real points, but the shot volume was there. And now, knowing no Jimmy, potentially the usage will be there. And for Depot's sake, even with just 6 real points, he was active in the peripherals. He did have 4 fouls in 23 minutes, but the rebounds, the assists were there. We know historically Depot's also a guy that can offer you some decent defense, grab you some of those turnovers. So would you be interested in 24 fantasy points on the over with his PRA line being 20.5? Or do you want to think about that?
I want to think about it, but if I had a lean, I would say probably his fantasy. But if he only plays 25 minutes, man, that's gonna be a sweat.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Just wanted to point that out here.
Yeah.
Chat, I gotta get into rundfs.com. VIP Discord voice chat if you guys want to jump in there and hang out with us while we make some baseball DFS lines, put together some of our prop cards. You can do so over at rundfs.com. We will have more than likely the free prop detector posted in the free Discord, so make sure you're in that. The Discord links in the description below. Hey, shout out to Reality, Marco Narco, Franco, Make My Day, Baba Luga, Papa 1K, Get Narped, a bunch of numbers, and Mick Awesome, most recent guys to jump in the Discord, joining a really, really cool community. Jump in the main chat, jump in the PrizePicks and props, and if you are a channel member here at Gundacker Gaming, make sure to link your account to your Discord, and then you'll open up access to these YouTube member-only chats, man. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out. I guess I'll recap what I have in my notes, although I was a little spotty on note-taking the last couple games. But what I got is Cat's first half fantasy, Beverly real points or fantasy, Brooks real points, Baines threes, Tyus Jones real points, Trey. I like Trey 40 fantasy points. I'll put my name on that bullet. DeAndre Hunter 1.5 threes, Bam Adebayo over 39 fantasy points. And then from that last game, I think I'll nominate Chris Paul. Probably fantasy, but I'm fine with his assists. And I also say if you like his assists, he was at just 12 on PrizePicks. He's 12.5 on Underdog. So, like I said, it felt like we were getting lower lines on PrizePicks. So if you like overs, PrizePicks might be the move. If you like unders, Underdog's the move. So anything from that last game that you want to core other than Chris Paul?
I'd probably core Chris Paul and then run it back with McCollum's 3-point prop or his real points.
Okay, chat. Hey, I appreciate you guys making part of my day be part of your day. We're back with more content tomorrow. So is tomorrow a 2-game? Let me double check that. Knowing Josh would want an hour breakdown on a 1-game slate. So
yeah,
we're gonna have content, but I'm just trying to think ahead in terms of tomorrow. There's Nuggets Warriors and Bulls and Bucks. And Levine got put on the Rona list. You saw that?
Yeah.
Oof.
Potentially more to come too.
Oof. Hey, chat, tell somebody you love them. I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money. We're still doing it. We're still doing the Rona.
Let's get it. You got a full baseball slate?
Yeah, it's a pretty big one. Just stack Yankees though. We're good.
So, tag and chat. Alright, I'll catch you in there.
All right, bro.